Hi, welcome back, everybody. We're going to hop into our first adventure of the evening. However, before we do so, we are going, as always, to introduce our heroes here today. So, without further ado, let us introduce our first hero. We have Zewxip. Uh, Zewxip, welcome.
We're happy to be with you again. It's been a little while, and I've been quite busy.
You've been quite busy, you say, Zewxip. What have you been up to?
We have sailed back to return to our lover, and from that contact, well, would that I could blush. But aside from that, he imparted some very interesting knowledge
Oh, really?
with his gifts to me, yes. The ability to manipulate magic on a fundamental level. We find it very interesting. And in turn, we've been able to really, well, hopefully you'll see.
I was going to ask if there were any, any kind of teasers you could give me of these new tricks it seems that you have up your sleeve, but I guess I'll have to wait and find out. And I hope all is well with your companion from across the sea.
Why, yes, my dragon lover is very healthy and very, very knowledgeable. And I'll tell you what, a little bit of a hint as to what I might be able to do could very well be what he did to impart this magic upon me. If you're ready, close your eyes and feel the breeze.
Seems like a pretty sturdy gust of wind that you have created, perhaps.
Oh, well, I don't want to brag, but yes, I am bragging.
Well, I look forward to seeing it in action today, Zuzi. Welcome back. And next we have another returning adventurer. We have Rivi, shoot and stab, and of course your companion Scruffles. Rivi, how are you?
Hi, everyone. I'm glad to be back. And you have anything you want to say, Scruffles? Hi, from the Fall of Worlds. Yeah, that's pretty nice of you to say, Scruffles. Yeah.
No, Rivi. I remember when you first you first kind of brought Scruffles with you on one of these adventures. To a degree, it seemed like you were in kind of well, he was your kind of pet. But I've noticed you've been a little bit nervous, if anything, around Scruffles lately.
Scruffles is a very special pet, I guess you could say.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Rivi. I am your pet. Yeah, like what he said.
I'm glad that you guys have such a strong bond. It is good to see a young kobold such as yourself making such good friends and doing so well here in the land of DnDTime.
Please help me, please.
I've heard your whispers, and we're speaking now such that Scruffles can't hear you, can't hear us. I've heard your whispers, Rivi, and I want to help you, but I'm just a voice. I can't do anything for you. If I think of something, if I think of something though, Rivi, I will absolutely. Well, I'll do what I can. And good dog, Scruffles.
Bark.
And next up, we have Malichor Aparatus.
Hello!
A brand new hero here in the land of DnDTime. Please tell us about yourself. What brings you here?
Hi! My name's Malichor. I'm unfortunately in the form of a spider right now. I was once a gnome, but unfortunately one of those liches got to me. Turned me.
We all know how those liches can be every once in a while.
Yes, he had an eme over. I think he was just wanting to take out his frustrations on society against me. So now I am a spider.
Well, Malichor, I'm sorry that you've kind of been pushed into this lifestyle that you live now. You're now just kind of a spider against your will. But have you found that you've what do you think of being a spider now that you're kind of locked into this?
It has its advantages. Being able to climb walls really does assist with being able to observe to observe patients for my studies.
Oh, in your studies, I was going to ask what particular skill set that you bring to the table as an adventurer. You are a learned individual. It sounds like.
Yes. I have what you might. I have a technology that is infused with what you might call wizardly
Uh,
magic.
a combination of the sciences and the arcane interactions. It sounds like you're very much into some of the same progress as the trigonomes of Sokotoa are.
Oh, of course, I lived with them.
Oh,
After all,
really? You've studied with the trigonomes.
yes, yes, yes. They are amazing.
Uh,
Trigonometrics. They. It is. It is the. It is the way of the future.
Absolutely, it certainly is. Malichor, I'm very excited to have you here, and I look forward to seeing what you can do.
Thank
And
you.
last but not least, we have I guess we only have three. That's odd. We only have three adventurers. Well, we'll have to go in anyway. Let us begin tonight's adventure. Um, the four of you the four of you stand on the streets of Central City. It is for any of you unfamiliar, the Central City is the largest city in the land of DnDTime.
That's why it's central.
Yes, towering skyscrapers rise up above you, buildings the like of which in your travels, Zewxip, perhaps even you might not have seen before. But Yeah, it is very beautiful in large city. You're going specifically to a very humble cafe within it. You were told by Bartholomew it was called the Milk and Honey Cafe, and the proprietor of said cafe uh, has um, has requested your help in a particular problem that she's having. And so, our adventure begins, you stand outside of the Milk and Honey Cafe. So, as the three of you arrive, you see there's also just someone else standing next to you. Not sure who that is, but
Uh,
Oh my,
it's
honey.
it's
Well,
the guy again.
Rivi, Scruffles. Okay, have you talked to Pete or Jeremy recently? I feel like I keep showing up to these things expecting more than I'm getting.
It's unwise to expect much. I mean,
The voice tends to be just a tiny bit unreliable with its narration.
oh crap, a spider!
Don't worry, I am only mildly poisonous.
I'm mildly poisonous enough to kill someone that's just my height.
Don't worry. Don't worry. I only have a don't worry, I only have 8 devices. Not much.
um, the group of you stand in front of the group of you stand in front of the Milk and Honey Cafe. It's very small, very kind of quaint amidst the grandeur of Central City. And you can see a couple. It's getting late in the evening now. The sun is beginning to set, and you see a couple of customers kind of walking out, kind of smiling. Behind, you can see the proprietor. You see just kind of a relatively large individual. He's a man, kind of wearing a big apron. He seems very happy and jovial as he kind of waves them out of the building, and he kind of sees the four of you standing out on the street. And as he kind of leans out the door, um, oh, right on time, I see. I had hired some of Bartholomew's adventurers to help me out today. Are you the temps?
I guess. Yes.
yes, I have answered the call. Well, we have.
I was told to show up.
I'm not sure why I'm here. The dog just kind of dragged me along.
Oh well, dogs are absolutely welcome. I have a dog as well. He kind of walks over and goes and leans down to kind of pet Scruffles on the head. Aren't you a little cutie, you?
Yes, yes. I need more pets. Bark.
He kind of pets him. He pets Scruffles on the head a little bit, and as Scruffles begins to talk, he kind of he slows down and gets a little confused. And you see him. Well, all of you, please come in. Um, and he opens the door and leads you in to the building. You can see there's still a couple of customers, setting up, and he gestures over to a table. And he looks to a waiter that's in there, kind of serving a few of the remaining people. Most of the people seem to be drinking coffee or tea, and he goes, "Rudy, get them whatever they want while we're waiting. He shouldn't be here until after sundown." And he kind of goes off and goes to shuffle some things out back. But yeah, you are now inside of the Milk and Honey Cafe. The air inside of it, you're immediately kind of struck by the delicious and sweet smell of what smells like fresh baked pastries. You can smell kind of hot coffee that's always seems to just be bubbling up in the air. There's a small kind of there's a small kind of section where there's a bunch of tables set up. You see over on the side there's another little lounging area where there's a few people sitting sipping tea, and there's a bookshelf with some miscellaneous texts on it. They don't seem to be anything too heavy, just some light things to read while you sip your tea or whatever it is that you want. But a waiter walks you, the four of you, over to a table and says to you, "Hi, my name is Rudy. I'll be helping you out, and apparently you're going to be working. You're going to be working with us this evening. Is there anything I can get you while we're waiting to set up? There's just going to be a few more moments until close."
Do you sell like those dog treats you get at Starbucks? Like the Starbucks dog treats?
We don't sell any of them, but Duke over there, and you see kind of laying in the corner on a little bed, there's a dog kind of curled up inside of a small kind of cloth bed that was made for it. Duke over there has his own treats, and we can just give you a couple, I think. Looks to the rest of you. Would any of you like anything?
I'll take some pure cold water and a distinct lack of bees, please. I understand there's honey, and well.
Don't worry. There's no bees in here. That would be bad for the health inspection we have later.
Do you have any motor oil?
Motor oil? That I don't know if we can help you with. We can brew some really black coffee, but that's about as good as it's going to get.
I thought it'd be harder here is the melt and honey.
Well, then we absolutely can do that. And you, sir? Looks over to you, David.
I'll have a water and a piece of fruit, whatever you have for my, preferably grapes, for my monkey.
Looks over. I don't know how I didn't notice that you had a monkey.
Yeah, he's very golden colored, so.
Yes. I'll see what I can find. He walks out back and goes and kind of procures things. And yeah, it's a very pleasant cafe. And yeah, that's it. What do you guys kind of do as you're just killing time for this moment?
So what were the three of you
I really
doing?
expected more fire from the Molten Honey Cafe.
Once Malichor gets the coffee, he's going to summon a robotic hawk he had stored away for later, and start pouring the coffee in a little spout in the back.
Absolutely. You watch as just kind of seemingly out of nowhere. Is this the?
This is the Fine Familiar spell. Yes.
Yes. So over the next kind of like chunk of time, I believe it takes a little while to conjure familiar, or is just one that you already have conjured probably. So it's just instant.
One I already had conjured.
Yes. So you just kind of see out of his bag, all of a sudden, just assembling itself on Malichor's shoulder is this metallic hawk, which pours the very kind of thick. It is like a pitch black coffee that they give you, steeped for a pretty long time. And as the waiter kind of comes back, asks, if there's anything else I can get for any of you, let us know. Like I said, we should be closing up maybe another 10 minutes or so.
Thank you.
Not a
So,
problem.
Scruffles walks up to David, and he just looks up at them expectantly.
Hello, Scruffles.
Pet me, Crowley. Bark.
I don't know that name you're talking about, but no.
Of course, I know his name, you fool. Pet me. Bark. Do it.
So, Zewxip, what were you doing immediately before coming here?
Pet me. Come on.
I was admiring the tall buildings in this landlocked city. This is something that we're not used to, as we tend to sail the seas and operate on the perimeters of society.
So you didn't have any conversations with just a strange ethereal voice?
Pet me. Come on. Do it. I'll tell you
Anything
more
like
about
that?
Oh,
Perhaps I did not, but there are those among us who may have.
I see. Okay, I will pet you, Scruffles.
Yes,
Once.
I like this. Bark.
I pet Scruffles.
you pet
Yay.
Scruffles one time. Scruffles is ecstatic, it sounds.
Malichor will, Here, puppy! Here! Beckoning Scruffles over to him, using two of his, spidery appendages.
Yeah, Scruffles just kind of annoys you. Even, eldritch dog monsters don't like, spiders.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, Scruffles remains stationary, but as kind of the kind of day wears on, or the evening kind of sets, you watch as the last couple of customers slowly straggle out of the building, and the proprietor walks over to you again. All right, let's get down to business. My name's William, by the way. You can all just call me Bill. Rudy kind of walks up next to him. Rudy, I'm gonna ask you to go home for the evening. Why don't you take an early night? Boss, are you sure? Are you sure? Only one of us needs to be here for this. Alright, be safe. He kind of turns and walks out. I've hired professional help. I'm sorry, it was a Freudian slip, because the health inspection is today, which in the past we've passed with flying colors. There hasn't been any issue. And he kind of looks over and points over next to the door. There's just a Central City kind of insignia, and you see just a grade A health inspection that he has received. But health inspections have been taken over by the Cult of the Green Sun. You're all familiar, of course, with the cult?
No?
I have done extensive research on them since arriving, and yes, they seem, bad.
They seem quite fun to deal with.
I don't know what this green sun is. Kobolds don't have sons. We used to abandon our children.
That's a bit odd, but I apologize. Far be it from me. Regardless, they're a nasty group, but I was afraid of what might happen if I just closed up shop and cut and run from Central City for the health inspection. So, if we can get a passing grade, then that's great. If we can't, I would like to leave in one piece. They should be here any moment now.
You don't
What?
think that you're going to survive a health inspection? That seems a bit harsh, does it not?
Well,
Green's a pretty dangerous color, and I like the color of poison and poison ivy, and also acid, and also plant monsters.
he kind of looks down and he thinks, I have...
You're not a plant monster, you're a plant person, okay?
He looks down at the side. I haven't dealt with them much personally. I have an uncle who tried to deliver a letter at one of their post offices, and he was never seen again.
Yes, yes, yes. When I tried to deal with them, it took me 6 months just to move one spot in a line. I eventually abandoned it.
Um, that was that seems in par with a lot of the experiences I've heard about with them. Um,
Can you confirm that they seem to worship some sort of extraplanar being?
um, I don't know anything about. Was that word you used? They worship a thing called the green sun. I don't know what
Yeah.
it is.
They're
Oh, a
from the
green
Black
sun
Wolf.
sounds delightful. I've
David.
never experienced the light of a green sun before. Ooh, it makes me tingle just imagining.
Well,
That's kind of weird.
I hope it's well. Maybe you'll be better at dealing. This is why I'm bringing in you pros, is because I hope you're a little better at dealing with them than I am. And like I was saying, he should be. And as he says that, the place is kind of filled with. There's some electric lights that kind of hang down. They cast a lot of different colors, painting the room in a pretty interesting light. It's a very kind of warm and cozy. There's a lot of reds and oranges and yellows over the kind of lampshades, giving it a very warm interior. In an instant, though, all of those electric lights suddenly just go out, and the room that you're in, as night seems to have now fallen outside, is suddenly completely pitch black.
What was powering those lights?
You
Sir?
say that out loud. It's
Yeah.
well, that's the green sun runs the power plant around here as well,
Power plant? What in the world?
and you
There are much scarier things than this, Crowley. Bark.
you hear a low kind of you hear a low tone begin to emerge from the space around you. In the pitch black tavern, all of a sudden it's once again lit. The lights click on again, but this time the bulbs glow a bright green, casting just a very unpleasant light on the tavern around you. Everything is kind of bathed in this green, and you hear sounds from outside. Looking out the window from where you are, you should see the lights of kind of passing. You should see the lights of just kind of passing, individuals walking. There are some kind of motorized carts that move by with lights a lot. The sounds of travel, but it is just silent and black. And then you hear just a low tone. Come from outside of the building.
Oh no, this is a grudge.
Some whispers. You see a shifting movement at the door. A great kind of, just some kind of mass you see. It's a little bit tough to tell in the dim light. The green light kind of coming out from the windows barely moves past it. And then that tone just kind of stops, and you hear the light rapping at the door.
Hello, come in. We're here.
That could have been a vampire.
And in that case, the door opens up, and inside you see a human man walk. He's wearing kind of a simple top hat and a dark trench coat. His skin is very pale, and he has long, kind of wispy black hair. His face is also very round, and his head looks just maybe a touch bigger than it should be. Just a little bit bigger than what you would think an abnormally large human head might look like. He kind of walks in, and he greets you. You watch the owner, kind of William, walk up. Hello, sir. The inspector kind of smiles. He smiles just kind of like this big wide grin that kind of seems to curve up the sides of his face. Hello. I'm here for the health inspection. I trust that everything will be up to code, but we do have to adhere to formalities. I understand that you have received nothing but, well, flying colors in the past. Yes, that's right, sir. Good. and this should be the work of just a few moments. While I begin, if you could fill out this paperwork for me. And you watch him hand a stack of what looks like 100 sheets to the man next to him that he seems to produce from throughout the robes. You are his employees? He says, looking around at the group of you.
Yes. Yes, we are.
I think the proper term is contracted? I'm not really a business person, so I wouldn't know. I'd have to ask the owner.
We've been brought aboard for some support and advice. And might I add, you are a very charming man.
He looks down at you. I suppose that could be said, although I haven't heard it said before. Let us begin. I'll start with... He looks down to the side. I would like to order a meal. Begin. I wish to see, to make sure that your wait staff is up to all of the standard health and safety protocols. I assume that won't be an issue. He begins kind of just walking over. His frame barely moves as he steps, and he goes and kind of sits down at a table. He takes out of his coat just a jar that just seems to be filled with this kind of green sludge. Puts it on the table next to him, and then kind of sits down at the table. You have a menu, I presume, and the owner, who's now just kind of looking over this huge stack of paperwork, yes, I'll get that for you. Can one of you, and he looks to one of you to start just working on this pile of sheets that need to be filled out.
I'll do it. I'm familiar with paperwork.
All right, yeah, he hands you over the paperwork. He says, I actually think I needed you on that anyway. And he points to one section. It looks like there's just a lot of requests for personal information throughout it, but they seem to be jostled and random. One of the thing that he points to in particular, where it just says, please provide a non-affiliated signature in Infernal and Abyssal. I'm affiliated, so... he just kind of shrugs, hands it to you, and walks off to get a menu. What are the rest of you kind of doing at this time?
Malichor is going to go. He's going to go back into the kitchen to cook whatever the health inspector orders.
Very well. You go and kind of like look at the kitchen equipment and stuff. Go ahead and make me a or what's your passive perception?
9.
Oh.
Okay. Yeah, you don't even particularly notice anything. There's an array of kitchen equipment, pots and pans, a nice little stove set up. He kind of grabs the menu. You watch as the health inspector kind of looks over it for some time. And as he does so, he says, "Ah, yes. I'll have your live rat, please." And you watch as the proprietor kind of looks at him. Excuse me, we don't have that on the menu. And the Green Sun inspector just kind of goes and points at the menu, and you see live rat, 5 gold pieces now kind of listed upon it. And if you don't mind, he just gestures. And you watch as the proprietor comes back and looks back to you, Rivi. He ordered a live rat, and he shows it to you on the menu.
What?
You don't have that on the menu. Yeah.
I mean, I am a ranger, so I should be able to rustle one of those up for you if I can find one.
Yeah, you're also starting to hear some just kind of skittering coming from around you, and you're actually hearing some kind of low squeaks. They seem to be coming from the walls.
Oh.
Yeah.
Is there any holes in the wall?
No. Oh, no, they just appear to be fairly solid. He looks over at... he looks over at you, Zewxip. Excuse me, you there.
Yes, we're here and happy to serve.
Of course, I need to analyze the health of the waitstaff here. Could you step closer, please?
Yes, I may.
He kind of goes and puts out his hand to just reach it towards you.
Oh, well, that seems a bit forward. I already have a lover in another port, I'm afraid.
Just a brief physical examination, if you do not mind. And his hand kind of moves out very quickly. Do you let him reach towards you, or do you duck backwards away?
No, I find him to be charming. I'll let him grab.
All right. He's going to he uses a vampiric touch on you. Does that 15 hit?
15 does hit.
And as he kind of reaches out and grabs onto you, you just feel some of your life force being kind of drained out of you. You watch as some of Zewxip's leaves kind of wither and wilt. He kind of looks down. Ah, yes, very healthy. Very good. He writes something down on his little clipboard that he has. He's this bright red pen that he seems to be using. Thank you.
Oh, I seem to have a bit of the vapors. Oh.
He looks down to the right, and he kind of looks over at one of the side tables in the room. These tables, what material are they made out of? He's just asking. Perhaps you, Malichor. They just look like wood.
Yes. They are made out of an oak pine blend, and they are and before they are made into a table, the wood is sanitized with the most pure alcohol to make sure that it is the most clean and free of disgusting rodents and critters possible.
That is good to hear. He just reaches over, and you watch. He kind of holds his hand out, and all of a sudden, the table just kind of goes up in fire. It's now just kind of burning with these bright green flames, and he just looks at it. Very flammable, though. Quite a fire risk. And he writes that down on his sheet with kind of a. And that table is now burning with this green fire. It's getting very hot in the space that you're in.
I'm gonna find the rat. Preferably away from the fire.
So, Shogun, you're looking for a rat. Like I said, you're hearing these awful skittering noises and just kind of sounds in the wall.
Can Scruffles help me? Because wolves have keen hearing and smell.
Yeah. Absolutely. Go ahead and make a perception check. Or actually, you already made one there. I see you rolled a 17. Yeah. You can find them. The problem is you're pretty sure that that's what you're hearing in the wall. That's what it sounds like. The issue that you're having is just they're in the wall. So you need some kind of way to get in there. You see the owner is now just kind of walking around, kind of in a panic, watching the table burn, kind of not sure what to do. What is everyone else doing?
Oh,
I'm going to cut a small hole in the wall. Stick right at the bottom. Rat hole.
Malichor is going to use his comfort maintenance gear and attempt to put out bits of the fire.
What is the
prestidigitation?
Prestidigitation. I think the fire here is a little bit too big, since it's taking up most of the table. Is suddenly up in flames, a little bit too big to just it's only about a small campfire you can do. So yeah, this is a bit larger than that. This blaze is starting to take off. Similarly, it might take a little bit more than a cantrip to blaze it. You kind of cast your gust upon it, Zewxip, and you watch as the flames kind of bend over and lick a little bit, but they don't necessarily, they aren't necessarily just put out in a single gust. Meanwhile, you're cutting a. Actually, meanwhile, you, David, you're reading over this.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different questions on here. Do you like sign that non-affiliated signature in Infernal and Abyssal?
I'm gonna read it first to make sure.
No, it just said that's just like a question. It's just not like under anything. Sign this to agree. It just says please provide a non-affiliated signature in Abyssal and Infernal.
Well, they're the same script, aren't they?
Yeah, I believe both of them are in the same script.
So it would just be the same twice.
Perhaps.
I will sign it both times. I do know Infernal.
Oh, great.
Which is the script.
All right, you write your name on it, and as you kind of finish kind of lettering your name the first time in Infernal, you see that the signature just kind of turns green on the paper, and then you write it again, and that one does not change color, so you don't know what that means. There's also a couple more questions that you're reading through. You see one that says outline your standard balloon beast evacuation procedure. There's also one that says which foods are healthy.
Are there options, or is it just like a blank space?
Those are both open-ended. There's room for about a sentence and a half on those.
Okay. Alright, well, I write in some sort of standard approach to healthy food. Low caloric, low fat, low carb diet. And
just like all foods that are those things are healthy.
I mean, like vegetables, fruits.
Okay.
Generally speaking, with the exception of perhaps especially fatty versions. And then the balloon beast, I just write down blow darts, and yeah.
Yeah, very good. All right, yeah, you're working your way through this thing. A lot of the things that you write down change a lot after you write them down. Like for example, when you write blow darts, you watch as the word blow darts just kind of whiz off the page, very much like in the style that a blow dart would move, and you almost hear that sound effect coming from the paper. Yeah, you're just still kind of working your way through the paperwork. You cut a hole in the wall. You cut a hole down at the bottom of the wall. You're just going to carve that. Like, what are you going to use to do?
Make a little mouth hole, like in Tom and Jerry.
Yeah, absolutely. Make me just like strength probably to like carve.
Oh no!
Carve through the wood.
5.
Yeah, all right. You kind of like cut through, and eventually you'll do it because it's definitely, just a question of how long it takes. But it's not necessarily as precise as you wanted it to be, and you end up making one that's a bit bigger than you originally were aiming for.
Yeah.
And as you kind of like cut it and you're ready to like pop out the little mouse hole that you've made, from the other side, in a sudden rush, the hole kind of pops open, and you watch as a huge swarm of rats begins to just pour out of the hole. Go ahead and roll me initiative.
Oh god. This is what I get from being -2 in strength.
Actually, probably everyone roll initiative.
Boom. 19.
Good to move up. Ooh, nice initiative rolls, everybody. David, you are the first to. You are kind of the first to act. You watch as, because the space is small enough that you can see into the back room where Rivi is doing this. You see him kind of cut the hole, and then out of it, rats just start to pour. The Green Sun Health Inspector kind of calls out, "Do I hear rats in the building?"
We're fetching your live rat, sir, right now.
Yeah, Rivi, you just see them start to like climb up and around like Rivi's ankles and legs. They look ravenous. What do you do in this instance, David? You still have your paperwork in front of you?
I've got all this paperwork. I just look down and start writing back more in. What does OSHA have to do with any of this?
So you're just gonna keep working?
Yeah, I mean, I got the.
Yeah,
this is
absolutely.
important work.
Absolutely. Malichor, what do you do?
So, like, is the whole restaurant just covered in racks?
Nope, they're still just kind of isolated to the kitchen where he cut the little hole in the wall.
Malichor grumbled to himself a little bit. Well, I guess this will help cook it. Try to shoot like a firebolt at the racks, or using his pyromatic propulsion cannon, which looks like a shotgun.
Yeah, absolutely. You fire a firebolt over into the kind of the pile of rats. You just kind of end up hitting the floor a little bit short of where the rats are swarming out. There hasn't been enough of them to kind of get out to like guarantee a hit quite yet. So the fire kind of crashes into the floor. You see the inspector next to you looks over at you. I thought the table was bad. Kind of writes something else on his notepad. Anything else?
Malichor looks a little bit angry.
Fair enough. Keep in mind that table is also still on fire with that weird kind of green fire.
We'll get to that later.
The racks are the important thing right now.
Yep. Just reminding you, the next initiative is going to be Rivi. Rivi, there's rats swarming out around you.
I'm gonna try to grab one.
All right. Go ahead and make me just a. This is just gonna be a grapple check essentially, contested by their dexterity.
Is that a grapple, dex, or strength?
Athletics.
Oh no, that's not good.
Yours is going to be strength.
I'll let you also use
0.
Hold on a second. I was gonna say I'll let you use sleight of hand.
Okay, sleight of hand. The other one would have
I
been
think
0.
it's also there's like a speed element to it. You don't have to be like super strong.
Okay, that's average.
Yeah, unfortunately the rats are too slippery. They kind of are running around. You grab onto one of them, but it quickly kind of like wriggles from your grasp, and they're all just. You just hear these terrible like skittering and screeching.
Is this how rats sound?
They're like, it's the best rat I got. As they're kind of pouring out of the walls. Anything else on your turn?
No.
All right. That's going to bring us to Zewxip. What do you want to do?
Oh, my dear Inspector, you seem like a very wise person. I could learn something from you. And I'm going to position myself, well, as best as I can between where he's sitting and where, well, some things are going on elsewhere in the area. And as I'm going to be talking up to him, I will be casting a spell on him as well to charm him.
Oh, okay.
And in addition, I'm going to use Heightened Spell,
nice.
a technique that my lover has taught me to really convince people of my wiles. And
he's good at these, but the disadvantage is gonna make it a pretty big deal. It's a 14 and a 12. Does a 12 save?
12 does not save.
Ooh. All right. Yeah. At the moment, this individual is charmed by you. And what do you say as this happens again?
I'm imposing myself between where he's sitting and where rats are pouring out, or trying to block some of the things that he's been judging. And I'm talking, like, I'm buttering him up. We'll use some kitchen lingo here. I'm buttering him up. I'm trying to be very charming and to woo him and to distract him while my allies are, doing other.
So as opposed to Gordon Ramsaying him, you're Jamie Olivering him.
I don't know who that is, so I'll say yes? Question mark?
Perhaps. Who could say for certain? But he kind of looks at you and he says, I don't believe I ever introduced myself, by the way. My name is Gilius.
And we are known as Zewxip. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Indeed. And so, I do have some other questions if you could assist me. And he seems very distracted again by you. And he just begins starting to run you through a battery of health questions as he's very focused on you at the moment. And so, that's going to bring us to a swarm of rats, which is going to kind of, you watch as the rats pour outwards and go after you immediately in the vicinity, Rivi. You see there's actually there's just a ton of these things that are coming out. One's going to attack you. That's a 15. Does a 15 hit?
I believe he just dropped.
Oh no.
I'm not sure what his AC is.
I will look at it. And actually, let me just see if he's... I don't know what happened to him. Alright, so Rivi is gone, and he's getting beaten up, so I'll just have to look at it for him. His AC is 16. Unfortunately, that misses. Unfortunately for the rats, fortunately for him. And then a 16.
He's back.
Rivi.
Yeah, it kicked me out. I'm not sure why.
The first one misses, it would seem, and then the second one hits. For 6 points of piercing damage as 2 of these rats. And the rats are just swarming all over your body. It is grisly. You can see they also look like... You can see a few of them are like foaming at the mouth, and they're like dirty. It is a terrible thing to look at. And that's all for the rat's turn. You also hear kind of over where William's dog Duke was. You see Duke is kind of standing up. The hair on the back of his on the kind of back of his body is standing up a little bit, and he's just like growling very ferociously. And you see he's also everyone I think but Rivi sees this because everyone else is in that same common area still. He looks a little bit bigger, and his fur is starting to like get a little bit matted and mangy looking. He does not look like all that friendly of a dog anymore. That is all for their turn. Top of the initiative was, I believe, David. Still just working your way through?
Well, there's a big dog that's getting
There's
in.
a big dog. He kind of looks over you.
Okay, yep. No, this is something. Something's not right here. Okay. I will cast, Magic Missile on the dog.
Alright, go ahead and make an attack roll. Alright, or I guess not an attack roll, you just deal 10 damage. The dog kind of takes the 10 magic. You hear kind of, and it makes that odd noise that you just heard, and you watch as at its size it takes the magic missile, where the kind of wounds upon it appear. You see odd kind of almost like tentacles begin to grow out of the side of its body, and it looks at you, and its eyes are now just like one kind of pitch black color.
Oh god, what all this bullshit is this?
This is definitely extraplanar in nature. I pick up the paperwork and move to a different table.
Alright.
It's burning.
You as you kind of sit down at the next table, and you're kind of like looking at the paperwork, you kind of flip to the next page that you were working on. You just see the next question is, please describe in detail the differences between the 2 tables that you were just at.
Okay, well that one had a stain on it.
And next in initiative was you, Malichor. There's rats pouring out. There's an angry dog. You see William as the dog begins to like grow these tentacles and become strange. You see William, the proprietor, looks over at the dog. Don't hurt him. Don't hurt Duke.
Malichor is thinking that everyone just needs to take a chill pill.
Okay.
He's going to cast Sleep, which is a very handy insomnia aid. Very handy insomnia aid.
You throw out this incredible insomnia aid, and because sleep works the way it does, in this, I think a lot of these rats, you just kind of cast. Are you casting on the rats, I assume?
Yes. Just trying to get them, and if I can, next get Duke.
Because even though
I'll be fine, by the way, because my hit points are 22, and if no way is going to. Most of the rats have 0 hit points.
Yeah, no, the rats have the rats have 1 hit point each. So you watch as just a ton of these rats, like essentially an entire swarm of them, just all kind of pass out and are just now laying on their sides or otherwise sleeping on the ground. As the other ones, there's still a lot of them that are kind of swarming around, but yeah, it's going pretty well.
Could Malichor send his hawk to grab one of the sleeping rats?
That would, I think, be an action to command them to like take something specific. But you can like move the sleeping hawk, or you can move the mechanical hawk over nearby them and get it in position to like grab the shit. That would also keep in mind that would wake a rat up.
The rat or the hawk is just going to kind of quietly hover above the rat.
All right, yeah, the mechanical hawk is just like waving. It's got its target set, eyes locked on its prey. It's non-mechanical prey. Anything else on your turn?
Yes. Oh, and the familiar is supposed to technically act independently of me. Apparently.
Can you throw the find familiar spell out? I think either way, like if you're giving it a.
That's one long text block.
Yeah, it's a very long text block.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think in this instant.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll come back.
We'll just say text in action.
Yeah.
Could I have commanded my familiar to just continue to work on the paperwork?
All right. Yeah. I mean, it's not smart enough to like do.
He's my note taker.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's just doing stuff. He you don't know how good of a job he's doing, but he is taking your pen and writing on the papers that you have before you, in spots that aren't incorrect. So, what he's writing, who could say?
Yeah, I get the feeling it doesn't matter.
All right. In that case, that's going to. I don't know. I thought that was your turn for some reason. In that case, that's going to bring us to Rivi.
I'm going to grab one of the rats, and there's one of the sleeping ones, and bring it to Inspector.
All right. As soon as you grab onto it, it begins to kind of like shake and wriggle and try to get out of your grasp. But because it was sleeping, you're able to get up and get enough of a hold on it to. You're able to get enough of a hold on it to leave it. You bring it over to the health inspector. He just kind of looks at you expectantly, holding the rat. Ah, yes.
Here you go, sir. The finest quality living animal rat creature.
What do you do? Do you like hand it to him? Do you like put it down on the table, or?
Well, the table's on fire, right?
No, he lit a different table on fire, not the one.
Oh, okay. I just keep pulling it until he grabs it from me.
All right, yeah, you just kind of like hold it out in front of him, and he reaches for it. It's odd, normally
I let him have it.
not serving the food on silverware. Very well. He writes it kind of down. He looks over at you as he takes the rat from you. Zewxip is not using plates standard protocol for this establishment. He takes the rat and he just kind of bites into it. It lets out one last squeal. It is gruesome.
That sounds pretty good.
Oh, my dear Inspector, I must take some cultural credit. You see, where we come from, eating is... Well, aboard a ship, you don't always have the luxury of plates or silverware. And as I was brought on as an advisor, and especially one who wishes to bring culture and understanding and perhaps something new to Central City here, this is going to be a cultural delicacy, an experience, if you will. And in fact, well, it seems that you're very hungry and you beat me to it. I was going to ask if there's anything I could do to season that rat for you.
For starters, go ahead and make me. I'll let you pick either persuasion or deception, because I think both could be argued for, but with advantage naturally because he's charmed. All right,
Nice.
yeah. And he looks you over and kind of considers it for a while. Perhaps cultural differences can be important. He writes something down in his notes, and if you have a recommendation, I will take it. Also, and he just kind of looks down to the side. Some of like the blood from the rat is streaked on the floor. Also, blood on the floors. He kind of writes that down in his notepad. Tisk, tisk, tisk. But he looks to you for a seasoning recommendation. It's also your turn, Zewxip. There's anything else you want to do. There's an angry dog, there's a fire, there's lots of rats, and there's also this odd individual. Odd perhaps not being quite the right word, but...
Yeah, I'm going to continue to try and distract and charm him. Maybe taking a little bit of the brunt off of his review. I will season his rat with some very freshly produced and crushed herbs and spices that I can produce as a blossomer off of my druid craft.
But of course, you kind of your body begins to kind of like grow some miscellaneous pieces. What any particular spice that you lean towards? Any rosemary? What do you think goes good with a live rat? Some sage, maybe.
It'll have to be something that takes maybe a little bit of the tang off. Maybe a little bit of the pininess of rosemary, and perhaps and then with a mellow sage aftertaste.
Very good. All right, yes. So you grow some of these spices very quickly, kind of almost grind them in your hands, something you're probably very used to doing, and put on it. And as he kind of like takes, he ate about half the rat in the first bite, and as he takes his second bite and just plops the rest of it into his a little bit oversized mouth, he kind of grins. Ah, very good. I wish I didn't have to demerit you for having live rats in a restaurant. He writes that down, but he also seems very satisfied with the meal that you provided. So it's a little confusing how it's going. At this point, that bring us around initiative to the rats, which are going to continue to swarm upon you. But this time there's only one, and a 4 I assume absolutely misses. The dog is going to look over towards you, Malichor, and is going to kind of roll over. It takes a few kind of stalking steps at you, and then is going to dive up and bite you. I assume a 7
That will miss.
misses, and then you see its two kind of like tentacles that have popped up around whip out and go to strike you. It's a 9.
Miss.
Oh man, that was a lot of damage too. Jeez. Yep, so the tentacles kind of go and whip at you. You kind of dodge out of the way. The dog continues to growl. The owner thinks, please don't. Just, I'm sure he's. I don't know what's going on, but don't kill him.
Tell that to your dog. And Malichor, just as he's chopping up some vegetables to prepare for the delicious rat stew he's gonna make. Cause he's a little bit too focused on this to notice that he's already been served a rat.
In that case, that's going to bring us around the top of the initiative. David, what's the play? Angry dogs, rats, burning tables.
Yeah, and this mountain of paperwork. What's on the next page after I finish describing the tables?
It just actually is at the top. It's pretty blank, and it just says "draw the safest environment."
Okay, I draw the interior of a safe.
Nicely done. You draw the safe. As you kind of finish drawing it, you draw it out, and it kind of almost seems to like zoom out, and then just shows you a very beautifully drawn safe that presumably this was the interior of that you drew, and kind of appears stationary on the table, on the paper. At that point,
A safe appears.
yeah, kind of a safe appears as it zooms out of the interior of the safe that you drew.
All right, I flip the page.
You also see a check mark that appears next to it as well. You flip the page onto the next one. What languages do you speak?
I speak Common, Celestial, Sylvan, and Infernal.
All right. You see this page. It's written in kind of just strange runes and symbols that you can't quite wrap your head around. But as soon as you kind of begin to like focus on any given question, the symbols just kind of change into seemingly at random one of those languages that you already know. But that's kind of that's kind of where you're at right now.
Okay.
Is working through this odd language page. Is there any other like action you wish to take upon your turn? You're just gonna keep working.
I'm working.
Just rolling an intelligence check on the whole for how you're navigating this paperwork. 'Cause you've been at it for a while now.
Sure.
Ooh, that's some well filled out paperwork. All right, next initiative, Malichor. What are you doing? There's still living rats. There's an angry dog. Lots of stuff going on.
Well, the hawk. Presumably, some of the rats are still asleep. Presumably, at least.
Yeah, you grab a actually, the hawk can't technically pick up the rats because that would be considered an attack. It's kind of a grapple. So you would have to pick up the rats because familiars can't do attacks.
Okay.
But yeah, you can just say that you go over and grab some rats. There's a wolf right next to you that's very angry and like baring its fangs at you. But if you want to get rats, you can do that. You'll probably provoke an opportunity attack from this thing, though.
Well, I think I know what I'm gonna do.
What's the play?
Malichor is going to with one of his many arms, reach back, grab a dagger.
Oh.
Actually, a quarterstaff.
Okay.
A quarterstaff, and just start almost like a rolled up newspaper. Bad dog.
Go ahead and make an attack roll. Unfortunately, the 6 does not quite do it. You go and kind of like bring it down, but you watch as one of the kind of tentacled arms goes up and just blocks and puts it in the way. Anything else on your turn?
Nope. I will move towards the racks though, as I'm kinda.
All right, yeah, you're in that kind of general area. You kind of maneuver around the dog as best you can. You're right up near him. Rivi.
The table's still on fire, right?
Yeah, it's spread onto another table now. There's 2.
Is there like an extinguisher anywhere?
Yeah. Do you just like ask the owner? The owner's now just kind of in the corner, like looking around aghast.
Yeah.
Just kind of like trying to hide a little bit.
I guess I asked.
And he just kind of
If not, I have a backup plan.
Side of the wall. There's like a little wooden box on the wall, and you can see the word emergency carved into it. It's a very kind of cutesy and rustic looking like emergency fire extinguisher box, and you run over to it. There's an extinguisher within.
I use it on the table.
All right. Go ahead and just make me a what's an extinguisher check? Just go ahead and make me an attack roll.
Against the table.
I'll say that you're proficient. I'll just say that you're proficient in extinguishing.
6 on dex.
So yeah, just roll your regular attack roll that you would with your regular weapon.
Which regular weapon? That's important.
Because they're strength and dex.
Your dex weapon.
Okay, so that would be short sword, I think, for me. 15. That's because my longbow gets pluses from
you extinguish the hell. It fires out that kind of like whitish foam that fire extinguisher want to do. It wraps around and completely puts out the table, which is burnt to cinders now. It's kind of like a blackened husk, but it's no longer burning. I'll actually, in that one fell swoop, because you rolled well enough, you get both of the tables, both of them around. There's no longer fire. You watch as Gilius kind of writes on his little clipboard, fire response, 6 points. He says that to himself out loud, and that's probably all for your turn. Let's see a bonus action.
I'll use my bonus action of I'm going to self-reflect.
Yeah. You just take a brief moment. What's Scruffles up to, by the way? Just curiosity.
He's just sitting somewhere, watching it happen.
All right, fair enough.
Yes, this is very entertaining. I mean, Bark.
That's gonna bring us then to Zewxip. What's the play? The health inspector
He's-
seems fairly satisfied at the moment. He's well fed. He's been given rats, delicious sage upon it.
You're a man of great importance, yes? You hold a high rank amongst people in your office. Do you?
I do not. I am very much the green collar, if you will. That's a joke from a joke that we tell around the office.
I get it.
Oh, I'm sorry. Some jokes can pass over me. Well, still, I'm glad that you are here and in good humor, because you're also getting a bit of an expression in this sort of new way of managing businesses. You see, on ships, disaster always occurs. To not expect it would be silly, and yet our crews are always measured by how they handle the situations, what they do in a moment of crisis. And so, with this simulation, you're seeing just how we can respond to disasters. And I hope that you're finding it intriguing, and you can use this information back at your office in order to advance.
Go ahead and roll me a deception check with, an advantage because he's charmed. I'm also going to give you an extra bonus because I would have given you advantage on this anyway because it was a great path that you went down. So go ahead and roll me just a deception check with him. Yeah, you're crushing. He goes, there is much of interest here at the Milk and Honey Cafe. That is certain. And he looks at you and smiles. And this time his grin is even maybe a little bit wider than it was before. And you're now kind of seeing his teeth. He's mostly been smiling with a closed mouth, but seeing like the ends of his teeth, they are very sharp.
So he's a vampire.
That is well, all of them are sharp, not just a couple of them.
Oh.
More like a shark. Anything else on your turn, Zewxip? That's probably all.
That's all.
Faux turns. There's a wolf. You watch as the kind of the owner walks over. William walks over to the Duke and just goes, "Duke, calm down now. Calm down." He's gonna roll an animal handling check, which has a +1 to. But the Duke does not seem to calm down, and you watch as the Duke kind of turns around and goes to snap at his owner. He's going to make an attack roll. But I cannot roll. Duke, where did you go? There's just so many things in front of me. Attack! And you watch as he goes and kind of like bites into William. William just kind of like takes the hit and collapses down onto the ground. And is just kind of bleeding. He runs over and then is going to attack you, Zewxip. Actually, he's gonna go after you, Zewxip, who's in the middle of this conversation right now. Oh, jeez. Zewxip, are you still up?
Let's see. It
I know
hits
you
a
took that hit
13.
before.
Well, my AC is 50.
That was a crit. The first one was against the owner, and then the second one was.
Oh shoot! I'm sorry. I was looking at the wrong
So
one.
is that damage doubled, or is that the...
That's the total.
It has
damage.
been doubled yet?
Nope, that's the total damage. That's 16 damage, though.
So that's
Oh.
doubled, right?
Correct. I had only 11 left after that vampire.
Oh man! You watch as this time the Duke goes over and with its tentacles they wrap around Zewxip and kind of pull Zewxip in, and Zewxip falls unconscious. The Green Health Inspector looks at you just kind of in a bit of curiosity, and then as you fall unconscious, actually I think the charm ends, and he just kind of goes,
Does it? It has a duration of an hour, but do I have to be conscious for that?
I believe it's concentration.
I don't think Charm Person is.
Yeah, I don't think our person is.
Oh, that's my mistake.
Yeah,
okay.
it's not.
Oh no, you're good. No, it's good. All is well. That's my mistake. Yeah, you're still charmed by you. He just looks at you confused and like, oh, this is a great part of this simulation that you've all put together for me. Component. In that case, that is going to bring us to the rats, which are still trying to kill you, Rivi.
Oh, come on!
They're just a bunch of rats. What can I say? And you're the one there. But it's a 12, misses,
Miss.
and it's gonna bring us to the top of the initiative.
Paperwork, David.
David, what's the play?
Well, Zewxip's just gone down, which is a bit of an issue. So
Monkey do paperwork?
Yeah, the monkey will do the paperwork while I will cast, catapult on some nearby object and have it go flying at the dog.
All right, yeah. There's a jar next to the Green Sun Health Inspector that he put down.
Yeah, I don't think that's the best choice.
The jar of maybe the wooden box.
Yeah, I mean, there's like the
like a frying pan should ought to do it.
There's places filled with knickknacks.
Oops.
A
That
small
wasn't intentional.
is right next to that you could use if you wish, but he's going to make a dexterity saving throw, which he fails and takes 14. He's already taken 10. He's very close. The Duke is very close to being down. Anything else on your turn?
I mean, I'll pick back up some of the paperwork.
All right, yeah. You see that the last few that you answered in this time that you were not doing them have erased themselves. Going to bring us next to initiative 2. Malichor. Malichor, what do you want to do?
Well, I mean, the dog is presumably out of my troubles now.
Yeah, the dog's no longer paying attention to you. Still scary, but no longer paying attention to you specifically.
Is it still within range of me?
No.
Did it move?
It moved away a little bit. Actually, it should have provoked an opportunity attack from you if you wanted to have taken one. But
I'll just.
Yeah, what do you want to do?
I'm just say I'll take one. This is just the opportunity attack roll. It wants
Yeah,
to
sure. You
roll.
can go back and do it. Yeah.
Sorry, I think my roll was lagging right now.
Whoa.
There you go. Just the first one, the 9.
Would have missed anyway. So.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well, I'm gonna pick up a sleeping rat.
all right, you do so. It starts wriggling in your hand as soon as you pick it up, but.
Right, and I'm going to walk over to a pot of water that's on the stove right now, and just chuck that baby in there. The water is boiling. I'm currently boiling a rat alive right now to cook it.
There's a moment of screams, but the rat dies very quickly, and you're boiling a rat, making some nice rat soup.
Yes.
And very good. That's gonna bring us to Rivi.
Was that my action? Just so I.
Yeah. I mean, what else do you want to do? You have a bonus action if you want to.
Just take the vegetables I've been kind of, throw them in there, the onions, the carrots, the potatoes.
You're making the soup. You got stuff rolling on that.
Cool.
Do I see Zewxip go down?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so this is my chance. This is my chance. This is okay. So he's going to ignore the rats completely. He's going to attempt to just vault over the counter to go try save Zewxip.
All right.
I think that will miss.
Go ahead and.
Yeah, it misses. He vaults over the table. And would animal handling on the dog be an action or a bonus action?
What are you trying to do to the dog?
Just try to calm it down a bit.
Yeah, go ahead and make an animal handling check.
That actually both actions though.
It would be an action to try.
Okay, I'm not gonna do that. Then. I'm going to use Cure Wounds on Zewxip.
All right. You go up and cure wounds,
Oh,
Zewxip.
yep. I did three points.
You're healed for 3, Zewxip. 3 is better than 0 hit points, which is what Zewxip was at. As it passes now to Zewxip's turn, I believe, unless you have a bonus action.
Unless you want to
no
Hunter's
bonus
Mark
action.
the dog.
Actually, well, I already cast one spell this turn, so I can't do it again.
Yep, that's true. That is true.
All right, Zewxip, what's the play?
Oh dear, I'm sorry. I had a bit of a.
I saved you.
You're being grappled by the tentacles still at this moment from the dog.
Oh my! Well then, this is a situation. But pardon me, my dear Inspector. We need to make sure that we're taking care of everything, just as I told you before. And on. I will use Thorn Whip to try and subtly take care of the hound that is hounding me in a way that doesn't seem vulgar or obscene in front of our esteemed.
Absolutely. Go ahead and make an attack roll. 10 unfortunately misses. It goes to like coil around, but because of the angle, you can't quite get a firm grip on it. Is there anything else on your turn, Zewxip?
No, that's all.
Okay. That is going to bring us to foe turns. You watch as the dog just kind of like actually lets you go, and the dog kind of looks at you, Rivi, who's up next to it now, and he makes one kind of bite attack against you. 13, I think, misses.
Misses.
He can make a tentacle attack against you. 10 misses.
Misses.
And then he kind of looks past you, and you, Scruffles in particular, Scruffles hears in Scruffles' mind. The dog kind of looks at it, and this beast kind of says to it, "What do you look at, inferior creature?"
You are the inferior creature.
Fair enough.
Mark.
And that is all for that turn. Rats, there's still some rats left, which are running over and just going after you, Malichor. 12.
That will miss.
And that's all for foe turn. Actually, no. The owner's going to once more try and calm down his dog. Duke.
Probably fail.
Duke. Oh, actually, he goes over to the dog and just, Duke, this isn't you. Calm down, please. And you watch as Duke still seems very upset, but the tentacles kind of recede into the dog's body, and it's just looking like a very feral dog now. And that is all. That is all for that. Top of the initiative, David.
Well, now the dog's calm, I will return to this paperwork.
All right, make another intelligence check to kind of move through your paperwork as you're going through.
All right. Oof. Is my monkey helping?
Yeah, sure. I'll give it to you. This paper also, this page also, as soon as you grab onto it, it's kind of just becomes soaking wet in your hand, and you can see like the ink starting to bleed, but you see the words that you kind of get on the page before the ink starts to like run off of it in kind of green drops. You see your workplace is immersed in water during the flood. And that's about all you get. But this page is soaking wet. What do you write on it?
Oh well, I dry it off in the fire.
Fair enough. You go over and begin the work of drying it off. That is all for your turn. That's going to bring us to Malichor. What do you do? There's just some rats left at this point. The dog seems to have calmed down quite a bit.
He's just going to bonus action, put him just some tin foil over the soup, just let it simmer.
Yeah, you let it simmer.
Just how many rats do there appear to be? Like about half or so?
Yeah, not as many as there were. I'll tell you that much. 15 or so rats.
Cool. I'm gonna take a bit of a step back and gonna pull out the old shotgun again.
All right, fire it. Yeah, that's definitely gonna hit. You fire a blast into the rat. You watch as you hit 3 of them just evaporate into flames, and a lot of them at the fire that kind of is now shooting at them, they kind of squeak and begin to scatter around the space. The health inspector would be kind of paying attention, writing them down, but he's still very just kind of transfixed on what Zewxip's doing, who's been charming the absolute pants out of him, both magically and otherwise this whole time. With that, all of the threats in this space are kind of neutralized, and you guys are free to kind of act. You're still working on your paperwork, I assume, David.
Mm-hmm.
You're making that rat soup.
Would the soup be about done by now?
Yeah, I would say absolutely.
Okay. So he's going to take it. So he's going to take it off the stove, grab a bowl, grab a bit of stale bread, serve the soup with just a rat carcass in the middle of it?
Yeah, it's just kind of floating up to the top of it.
Yes.
Yeah, of course. It's got like cartoony X's over the eyes, I imagine.
Yes, of course.
You place
And
it down in front of Ilias.
yep, and then I take a bit of prestidigitation, which is basically just a spice thing I pull out.
Yep.
And and it's going to taste like teriyaki chicken.
Good.
You kind of place this bowl of soup in front of him. He looks.
The whole soup and the rat going to taste like that.
He raises an eyebrow and he looks at you. I don't believe I ordered this.
It's a well, you ordered a rat.
I already delivered it.
You see his mouth is covered in blood, but he goes,
Oh, just consider this on the house.
He looks down at it. Very well. You see he goes and kind of just reaches down and he picks the rat up out of it with his hand. You watch as he just kind of waits a while some of the soup component kind of drains off of it.
The rat's a little bit mushy.
Yeah, and then he just one bite kind of downs the rat, mouth opening a little bit even wider than last time. I assumed it would be terrible because the rat was dead, but it was. He thinks for a while. 11 points, and he kind of takes a couple more. He takes a couple more notes, and he goes, "Very well. I believe I've seen all that I need to see." He stands. Thank you all very much for your hospitality and for welcoming me into the Milk and Honey Cafe. Looks over William, nods. William is actually. Wait, I'm sorry. William was. He looks down at William's unconscious body on the ground, who was mauled by.
I'll heal him after. Now we have a free time. I can heal him.
My mistake there. And William's down. You heal him. Goes,
Yeah, been there 3 weeks on that.
Thank you, sir. And the agent kind of walks out. You see, he picks up his top hat over by the thing, places it on his head. And he leans over to the little sign, the health inspection sign, where it says kind of grade A, and kind of removes it. And he places a new one in and kind of steps out.
What's the grade say?
Well, hold on a second. There's just a there's a brief moment. All the paperwork, you still have it, by the way, David. He never collected it.
Yeah, I've since drawn two on the flooded page, 2 images. One of a restaurant flooded, and one with a restaurant that has a drain in it that has drained the water.
You watch as out of that drain, any kind of excess paper that was, any excess water on the paper that hadn't dried from the fire kind of seems to drain out of it and just kind of fall onto the ground. And at this point...
Oh, what I expected.
Yeah. At this point, the lights that are kind of hanging down from the ceiling kind of flicker off again. And flicker back on
to the original
regular kind of colors.
Nice.
He whispers as he passes, and you can hear the sounds of traffic and the city moving once more. You walk over to where the grade. You walk over to where the kind of grading report is on the side. You see it just says it's replaced the old one, the official Central City one, with a green plaque. Cult of the Green Sun, restaurant grade N.
N?
N?
Yep.
I think that's a good letter.
What does the paperwork indicate about grade M? Anything?
No.
Didn't
Make an
think
investigation
so.
check.
That's a fun letter. I'm fine.
No.
Hey, the monkey's helping.
Yeah.
Could Malichor...
I was assumed. Malichor will... Yes?
Could Malichor try to, because he has had a bit of dealings with the Green Sun, as said, could he try to recall if there was anything about a grade N?
Yeah, go ahead and make me a history check.
Cool, and the hawk is helping him.
That I don't think you can justify.
Fair enough.
21.
Don't eat it!
Yeah. You think for a while, and you're kind of just going through, like, you're not sure how to approach it. You're just going through letters on the alphabet, and you're like A B C D E F G H I J K L M, and you just kind of, every time you try and focus on it too much, your brain just goes into a fog, and at this point, the owner kind of stands up. William walks over to you. The Duke seems to have calmed down and just seems like a very kind of happy and the same fluffy dog that he was when you entered. And William says, I think we did it. I owe you money either way. Thank you. And just kind of in a state of bewilderment and shock, hands each of you 100 Bartholomew bucks. Each of you gains 1 point of experience. And with that, you have survived the Green Sun Health Inspection. Congratulations, all of you.
Level
on
2.
completing this adventure. Yes.
Why do they want me to draw a cart?
And